Did you know that veterans who meticulously prepare their initial VA disability claim have significantly higher chances of being granted on the first go around without having to appeal? In this video, we're going to share 4 powerful tips that will help you win your initial claim in round 1. These tips are based on our decades of experience representing clients before the VA. Make sure to watch to the end because the last tip, in my opinion, is the most important. I'm Greg, a disabled Air Force veteran turned VA disability lawyer, and I'm joined by my wife, Victoria, also a lawyer in our law firm called After Service.
Tip 1, review your service treatment records and make a claim for anything that started on active duty and continues to be a problem.
Exactly. This is the first step in making an initial claim with the VA. You have to tell them what disabilities that you want service connection for. And the easiest way to do this is go through your service treatment records and list out anything that started on active duty and that continues to bother you to this day. A piece of advice when reviewing your service treatment records is that most electronic records nowadays contain a summary of all active and past problems, and it'll have it usually by date. And so it could be, 2 or 3 pages or however many pages, and it will list everything that you were ever seen for. And so you can just go through that list and assuming the condition is still an ongoing condition, put it on your 526 requesting service connection.
Is there a point when it's too much? I know I've spoken with people who have done just that with the VSO and they go through everything, but then they end up filing a claim for 41 things. Do you think that there's a point where you should not be claiming things?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a tough question. There's no hard number, but it's important to keep in mind that to ultimately win service connection for something, it has to be a chronic condition. Mm-hmm. So, let's say you cut your finger while in service, but it completely healed and there's no residual symptoms, then no, I wouldn't make a claim for that. I definitely tried to avoid, throwing the kitchen sink because I think it weakens the rest of the claim when you're making frivolous or things that aren't winnable. Mm-hmm. That chronic disability part's really important. So it's got to be something that's caused by the military or started during your military service and continues to be a chronic disability. If it was a one-time thing that went away, generally you don't want to make a claim for that. I like to make claims for things that are very reasonable that you can win. And I think that makes the entire claim package overall more strong.
Tip number 2, get buddy statements, especially important when these are disabilities that you didn't have treated while you were in service.
That's right. The claims that are most difficult to win is when there's no evidence of you having that disability in service. VA is going to keep saying, sorry, there's nothing here showing that this started in service. Mm-hmm. And so buddy statements are a way to overcome that hurdle. Anyone in the military knows that you generally avoid going to your doctor. I had an accident on the C-17 where I fell down the stairs from the cockpit down into the loading area. And it's about a 10-foot drop. It's not completely vertical, but the stairs are really steep. And I was walking forward down. So I fell onto my back and bumped down the stairs. And I'm in the middle of a mission. There's no one to go to unless I called an ambulance out there and had them take me in. Mm-hmm. And I still think about that. When that happened, my back was hurting for days, and I've never made a claim for it because I don't have chronic back pain now, but I do wonder, did I hurt myself and I'm going to suffer from this later on? And that'd be an extremely difficult claim to win because there's no record of me falling when that happened. With something like that, a couple of people saw it happen. I don't even remember them now. And so I wouldn't be able to get buddy statements. But in those types of situations, if someone witnessed the accident or, that you served with them a long time and they knew about your chronic back pain, you would want them to write to that because that's how you're going to have to prove that this injury happened.
Tip number 3 is gather and submit medical evidence. Talk to me about why you have to submit medical evidence when VA is supposed to get a copy of all of your records.
Good point. So VA has a duty to assist. And when you make a claim, the first thing that they're going to do is request a copy of all your service treatment records and your military personnel records, as well as any VA treatment records that you might have had post-service.
Right.
So you don't need to submit those records. And this is important because a lot of people will delay filing a claim because they think that they need to get their military records on their own first.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not true. VA is going to do that for you, and they have a much quicker process to do that than you do. The backlog right now at the National Record Center is like 6 to 18 months. So I often get calls from people who are saying, I requested these records 8 months ago. I haven't filed my claim yet. And so my advice is if you know the disabilities that you're going to claim, don't wait for those records. VA makes an electronic request to the service branches, and they get them within a week or two.
Okay.
The records you do need to submit are any private or civilian treatment that you've had since you got out. And so you can either submit those records on your own, or there is a release form that you can download from the VA website where you list your doctor's information and address and sign it. And then VA will make an attempt to get those private treatment records on your behalf.
Okay.
I do recommend if most physicians now have online portals where you can download records yourself. That's going to be quicker than doing the release form and having VA do it because they mail the release form to doctors' offices. A lot of doctor offices don't understand what it is and they just ignore it. So if it's easy enough for you to get those records, then get them and upload them yourself.
Our final and most important tip number 4, is give VA a roadmap to your claim. I'm going to let you, Greg, explain what you mean by roadmap, but this is, I think, the key for filing your initial claim.
I agree. In my opinion, this is the most important thing you can do is giving VA a roadmap and context about why you are claiming each one of these disabilities. The vast majority of initial claims that I've seen, and that number's in the thousands, is simply the VA form 21-526, which is the claim form, and a list of disabilities. No explanation, no context. And so when you do something like that, you're putting the onus on VA to figure out why you're making this claim, and you're forcing them to then go through the record and search for themselves for the evidence to submit it. And as you may or may not know, VA employees are incentivized to work as fast as possible. Promotions, bonuses are tied to a point system where a VA employee gets a point every time they touch a case. And so the more cases they can get through, the more bonus they can get. And so they're not spending a lot of time on your claim. And this is why a roadmap is important. You want to explain, and so I would just do a written statement.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure it has your name and your social and that it's dated. And then you can just do a bullet point list. And each bullet point should be the disability. And each bullet point should address when that disability began and what you think caused it. And then you should have a sentence confirming that this has been a chronic condition since it first started. And then the third part of that bullet point should describe what your current symptoms are. And so going back to my example, back in 2003, I was on this mission on this date and I fell and injured my back. You can look in my service treatment records on this date and see that I reported to the doctor. Ever since that event, even though I didn't get continued treatment, I've continued to have back pain. Never went to the doctor because I know they were just going to tell me to rest and ice it and take ibuprofen. And so I just did that on my own. Currently, my symptoms are that I have a 2 out of 10 backache almost all days, and maybe once a month I tweak my back and I have a flare up where the pain goes up to an 8 out of 10 and I can barely move my back. What you're doing, again, is you're giving context to your claim. You're not just listing disabilities and making VA figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
You're explaining to them exactly how this started, where the treatment is for it, and what your current symptoms are. And the chances that VA is going to grant that are so much higher than just giving them a list of disabilities and telling VA, here, figure it out, see if this is service connected.
So it's a lot more legwork up front, but potentially reducing your wait time by years.
Yeah, exactly. Because the goal is you don't want to have to appeal.
Mm-hmm.
You want to win on your initial claim. And so, yeah, it's a little more work up front. I know most people don't enjoy writing, but, like Victoria said, it can save you years of fighting with the VA if you do these few simple steps up front.
All right. So those are our 4 tips to help you win on your initial claim. Again, it was review your service treatment records and make all appropriate claims, get buddy statements, gather and submit relevant medical evidence, and create a roadmap for the VA.
Hopefully these tips help you navigate your initial VA claim and make it so you don't have to end up hiring us for an appeal. If you have any questions or need further assistance, drop a comment below and we'll get back to you. As always, you can go to our website, afterservice.com, and use the link to schedule a free consultation with me or Victoria. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and we hope to see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.